Mr. Hamilton, I don't want you to feel left out of this conversation. So I'm going to make sure I ask you some questions. Let me know if you're having problems answering them, because they really should be yes or no. Let's see. You're the executive director for the America First Legal, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And America First Legal is a member of Project 2025, which is dedicated to creating the playbook for the next conservative administration and what it calls the Project Pillars, correct?
We are proud contributors to Project 2025.
Okay. And are you familiar with Project 2025's mandate for leadership?
In fact, I am.
Okay. And in fact, you wrote some of the sections of this mandate related to the DOJ, correct?
Sure did.
And the mandate outlines policy priorities for the next conservative president. Is that correct?
It does.
You've done a great job. I just want to let you know. All right, so let's walk through some of the provisions of the mandate. It calls for eliminating the Department of Education, eliminating the Department of Commerce, deploying the military for the use of domestic law enforcement against protesters under the Insurrection Act of 1807. It also has the repealing of Schedule F status for thousands of federal employees to allow a president to replace career civil servants with unqualified partisan loyalists. That's probably my favorite of it. It also prohibits the FBI from combating the spread of misinformation and disinformation, like Russia and China, who are actively trying to interfere with American elections. I don't know why or how anybody can support Project 2025. And I know that there was allegedly a joke about dictators and whether or not that's funny, but in the United States of America, dictatorships are never funny, and Project 2025 is giving the playbook for authoritarianism as well as the next dictator to come in. And I know that you are doing your jobs here by making sure that hopefully some juror turns on and finds some viral moment of you spewing more of the nonsense as it relates to the president. But as practicing lawyers or licensed attorneys, I hope that we can all agree that no one gets indicted because someone says so. There takes a grand jury, and the grand jury is comprised of American citizens that sit down and review evidence, and they make the determination. And when and if Trump is convicted, it will be a jury of his peers, and it won't be the President of the United States.
I thought you were going to get to a question somewhere in that 90 seconds for Mr. Hamilton after you went after his 2025. I will point out the Inspector General just released a report that said the FBI retaliated against whistleblowers. One of the reasons we do need some changes, but there was no question there. But Mr. Hamilton, if you want to give it some kind of response, you're more than welcome to do that.
Mr. Chairman, my only response would be to say that there are a great number of policy options that have been provided to any future conservative administration through Project 2025. And it's an attempt to restore the rule of law.
That was Gene Hamilton, former top Trump administration official and lawyer for America First Legal, that being Stephen Miller's vanity project and self-described advocacy group. Hamilton's body language here is just incredibly dismissive. Those folded arms, the performative eye rolling, his stupid little smirk, it all screams hipster white supremacist desperately hoping that Daddy Trump will give me the Christian fascist state I dream of.
They say Project 2025 will change your life. For once, they're telling the truth.
Donald Trump gets in for 4 more years. He's going full throttle.
Project 2025 is Trump's plan to make America different, less free, less fair, less American. It's a roadmap for total control, Trump's control.
The gloves are off. There are no holds barred here.
Not just of the government, of your life, of your body, of every one of your freedoms, of what you can read and say, and where you can travel. He'll round up American citizens, use the government to punish his enemies, put the crazy and corrupt in power forever.
It's 4 years of scorched earth when Donald Trump retakes the White House.
But he promises to only be a dictator for one day. One day? Sure.
Project 2025 is the 900-page manifesto of the far-right think tank, the Heritage Foundation, and it was co-signed by over 100 conservative and far-right American groups and organizations.
When Donald Trump sent out his tweet, he became the first president ever to call for a crowd to descend on the capital city to block the constitutional transfer of power. He set off an explosive chain reaction among his followers, but no one mobilized more quickly than the dangerous extremists that we've looked at today. Seizing upon his invitation to fight, they assembled their followers for an insurrectionary showdown against Congress and the vice president. On January 6th, Trump knew the crowd was angry. He knew the crowd was armed. He sent them to the Capitol anyway. You might imagine that our founders would have been shocked to learn that an American president would one day come to embrace and excuse political violence against our own institutions, or knowingly send an armed mob to attack the Capitol to usurp the will of the people. But you know, Mr. Chairman, the founders were pretty wise about certain things, and at the start of the Republic, they actually warned everyone about Donald Trump. Not by name, of course, but in the course of advising about the certain prospect that ambitious politicians would try to mobilize violent mobs to tear down our own institutions in service of their insatiable ambitions. In the very first Federalist paper, Alexander Hamilton observed that history teaches that opportunistic politicians who desire to rule at all costs will begin first as demagogues, pandering to the angry and malignant passions of the crowd, but then end up as tyrants, trampling the freedoms and the rights of the people.
Take a look at this official ad from the Heritage Foundation. They released this knowing full well that Trump's base is so keen to own the libs that they'll more than happily give up their own freedoms and even America's democracy.
This plan that they want to put in place if the Republican Party wins the presidency upon the inauguration.
According to the New York Times, those plans include bringing independent agencies under direct presidential control.
It's kind of being pitched under the guise of dismantling the administrative state.
They say they would plan to do this with any Republican president.
It's about deregulation. It's about deconstructing the administrative state.
There's a network of conservative groups who are backing this effort, like the Heritage Foundation.
Take this very seriously. Don't think this is a joke.
It is incredibly alarming.
Frightening development.
You don't have to be a civic stork to know that you don't want that.
We've never seen anything like this in American history.
Would you support somebody if they called for the termination of the Constitution?
No.
Can I show you something? Because I'm shocked that so many people don't know about this. On True Social, this is from Trump's True Social, because of his belief that the election was stolen, he said a massive fraud of this type magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles.
I don't believe in it.
You don't believe that?
No, I don't believe that right there.
Even though he sent it out on True Social?
That's not true, though.
It's still up on his account?
No, that's not true. That somebody made a fake thing.
Okay.
The former president said on day one he's going to be a dictator for a day. How does that sit with you?
It's just great because, you know, there's a verse in the Bible that says, because sentence against an evil deed is not executed speedily, the hearts of the sons of men are fully set to do evil. He has to, from day one, start kicking butt and putting things back into place. Not out of vindictiveness, but because things have just gotten so crazy. We're no longer having a choice between right and left. We have a choice now between right and absolute craziness. The things that are going on in the border and the way that our government has been allowed to just destroy America and take our rights is just absolutely unconscionable.
You know, the other day Donald Trump said that if on his first day in office he would be a dictator. How did that make you feel?
I do appreciate his sense of humor. That's one of the things I really like about him, because he can say something like that. Everybody knows or everybody with a brain knows he doesn't mean it.
The GOP's silence on Project 2025 speaks absolute volumes about just how far they're willing to go to strip the rights of marginalized people. As Representative Raskin said, the Founding Fathers were worried about just this eventuality. They saw the potential for a populist demagogue to sweep people off their feet. And as unlikely as it seems to anybody who doesn't drink the orange Kool-Aid, Trump has already done a number on America's ability to defend itself from what the far right has been prepping for literally decades. And these steps laid out in Project 2025 are shocking in and of themselves. But when you think about just how dystopian a federal government that's been turned into a tool of retribution would be, and look at other authoritarian regimes that started from eerily similar conditions, it is horrifying. And the Democrats need to galvanize to stop Donald Trump from winning this election, to stop Project 2025 from being instituted, because I don't want to find out how bad things can get, and I don't think you do either. Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.